Good evening, folks. I'm Tassinix. Yeah, we're recording here live with Dagger and TJ for our second round of plotting and scheming. So we're covering week 2 of season 43 versus 3 Grand Arena Championship. We're going to go ahead and cover, what worked for us, what didn't, what was surprising, and then most importantly, what we're taking away here to use in week 3. TJ, how you doing tonight?
I am well, sir. Thank you for having me. Look forward to the next round of the goodness.
Good, good. And you'll notice, guys, hopefully you guys will be able to hear Dagger and TJ, so let me know in the comments if you have any issues. I think there's possibly the chance that my voice might end up coming through like doubly or their voices come through doubly. But, we're going to call it a work in progress. At least you can hear them, yeah? Also, I'm recording this and I am at like the absolute dregs of my energy. So, bear with me. All right, and that brings us to our second guest here, Dagger. Well, not really guest. You guys are co-hosts, so not really guest. I'm used to saying guest, so that's my bad. But yes, welcome, Dagger.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Got a really fun bracket coming up. It's also the last week of 3, so that makes it extra fun.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
looking forward to it.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I got another Vanguard guy for this round. Small guy though. I don't know. We'll see. My disadvantage. I'll actually tell you about it off stream for week 3 because I don't want to put myself at any kind of meaningful disadvantage. But it's been a pretty wild season. Not having the marquees for most of it has been pretty painful. And week 3, I've got most, if not all. So it's gonna feel pretty good, man. All right, well let's cut right into it. What worked? Yeah, or wait, what? How did I sequence this last week? What didn't work is what we started with, and I think the flavor of that was like what unexpectedly didn't work, like what caught us off guard was like, well, shit.
My free time week 1. My free time.
Okay, that's insightful. Thank you.
I only played my last round because I did not have time the previous 2.
And did you have any tough actual fights in that round, or was it just a blowout?
So the last one he cleared 2. I think he cleared. Yeah, my last one was a blowout against somebody that I had on basically every metric because, I lost the first 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm not saying like the match itself. I'm saying any individual fights in this one round that you played last week. Anything that was unsurprising, like you tried something and it did not pan out.
Please, for the love of God, remember that Star Killer's middle looks vulnerable on Prey versus the Resistance Cron that gives CA.
Yes. All right.
It was more of a mess up on my part than it was something unexpected. But it's one of those things where I was just like autopiloting the fight. I'm like, I've done this a bunch of times, and then just got caught out because I couldn't move for inspiration.
Yeah. Absolute lethal move. I have made it myself.
Oh. And then Lord Vader just soloed it after I moved through.
That is fabulous. Special cron to do that? Did you need some serious armor or something?
Nah, just the level 3 product.
Product's pretty severe. All right, that's fair.
Yeah, that was enough.
I believe it. What about you, TJ? Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
I was just going to say really quick, it was the Hoda variant, so I don't know how that would interact with a third character that actually does something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a character who brings passive benefits like Hoda in a world where Cal currently exists, that's a tough case to argue to not do Cal.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair points. One and all. TJ, what bombed out for you this week, man?
Well, unfortunately, Tash, you got to witness my bombing. The best one, and this is player error. Let's not call this user error, right? This wasn't like, let's blame CG. No, I did the poo-poos. I made the dookie, and I had to sit in it. It was EP Mara Jade and Starkiller on defense. I didn't give it the respect it deserved, and one misplay, and they ate my team out. 100% user
Yeah.
error, which caused me down a dark path. I did still get the win, and we'll talk about it. But that was a huge poo-poo on my part. The other one, and what I'm coming to understand is if you don't have like the overtly really huge Wampa, well, it can take out a Zori. It can still not take out a Zori.
Hmm.
So those are my two biggest ones, right? There's to me there's like this line or threshold that if you don't have, and I'll utilize like daggers, right? And there's gonna be guys who have these really just monstrous, just heavy duty Wampas, where their line in the sand is not where mine is, right? So I tried it again another time and it failed, but it was my doing that caused that because the way I looked at it, I didn't give it the respect it deserved, and I broke that threshold, that line that needed to happen.
So if you had to do it all over again, what would you take to show it the proper respect on the first swing?
On the first swing, so we're talking about the Zori.
No, we're talking about the Star Killer. That was
So the Star Killer, I would have been properly modded, and I would have still done the Hux, first order TIE pilot, and red.
all right.
Because while this cron is great and it's doing good things, people really aren't remodding their tools in the shed, so to speak. So if you've got everything modded up correctly, your Hux first order can still beat that down.
I believe that. I do. Anything else? Any other surprising failures?
There were some we were playing around with, but nothing that would be worthy of mentioning on
Right, nothing that was surprising. You took some risks that you knew were risks and they didn't pan out. That's fair.
Right.
Yeah. That was mostly the case on my end. I'm looking through my history for last week. Like the couple of like dum-dums were really in just like mechanical error and a couple like GL fights, but then otherwise I think I was just punished for trying to use some off counters that I don't usually do, and I was trying to get practice with them, and I practiced losing them, so that was fantastic. Qui-Gon, I told you guys at the end of the last video here that I wanted to, test him out on offense, and I've had okay success, but I also had a couple, bad wipes. Going against Kira, Hondo, and Zalbar last week, that sunk. And then I've definitely fought a couple people here now with the Tuscans. I gotta say, the one that's like Tuscan Chieftain and Warrior with Dadbod's still relatively easily killed. Just the two of them, though, held down against multiple attempts from me before I was ultimately able to punch through. Just Chieftain and Warrior using Trench, Dooku, and Droideka. So, I guess, that little success there brings us into the next segment. What unexpectedly worked this week, guys? And we'll start with TJ this time and go back to Dagger.
So what worked very well? Don't put LV on defense. If you're in the sound of my voice, do not put it on defense. The reason being, and some of the content creators are doing this, you can just take a safe 2-shot. And I've even watched Fatal do the almighty 1-shot. The protection up is not saving your hide. So I took it on round 3, watching the videos and everybody and scouring and looking. And as long as you kill the sides, you just go back in with Boba, and there goes your LV. And it is a pretty safe fight. You take IG and Quill with it, and you go and you just clean it up. And that, to me, in a world of 3s where you're doing drops are going to be a part of the thing, no one comes out alone unscathed. It's either low banners or you're going to drop. This is a worthy drop. Doing an intended drop and cleaning up a GL with a Boba, IG, and Quill, all day. All day. The other one I'll give you that I thought was great, if you're going to do a Ray, and this goes into the other side, LV is still a very solid counter to basically any other Ray comp.
I thought there was a Ray comp that you specifically had to avoid using LV. Wasn't it with Cal?
You do not Ray a Cal. But as Dagger will tell you, and we've seen,
You do not Lord Vader at Cal, you mean, yeah.
No, you do not Lord Vader a Cal.
Yeah.
But you can Lord Vader the rest.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I am a fan of, oh, this is the toughest team. All right, I'm just going to put it on auto. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
then you come back, and they're not there. It's amazing. I think those are my 2 keys that were nice for this week.
So we can infer from that, folks, you know, if you're setting Ray and you do have Cal, consider Ray Swolo Cal. With the Calcron, I would expect. Or I guess, which one would it be? Swolo or Cal?
I think it's more about what you're trying to do with the team.
Well, whatever. I mean, you're just talking about having it.
Damage. So, because if you're taking, so if the idea is Star Killer, nobody can get stunned. What does the matter with the damage from Cal? Cal's ability is to stun the weakest person. Well, on a Star Killer team, you're not going to stun anybody. On an LV team, who cares if you're stunned? You're going to hit debuffs, and LV likes when you hit debuffs. He's a fan of this. That makes good timing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
For Ray specifically, all the things that are beating it in 3v3 don't give 2 Fs about the Cal.
That's fair.
Like, in 3s, I would just go straight to Ben. On the off chance that matters,
Okay.
I think it's going to be way higher value, because like TJ said, Lord Vader doesn't care about the stun. He sometimes brings a meat shield, or it's just him. It doesn't matter. You can't stun Star Killer, so have fun with EP taking a bonus turn at the beginning of the fight.
It's true. It's true. Well, all right, Dagger. And what blew out the doors for you? That really surprised you, you know? It's like, huh, how about that?
Reva's a joke on defense. Don't set her. This Treya, Nihilist, Savage thing is like, every one of my opponents did it to me.
I saw it.
I have not watched anyone fail on stream.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it in my history. We all discussed this going into week 2, right? That we knew the existence of this, but we didn't know how consistent it was, and now we know.
Can I add one thing to this, though?
Of course, yeah.
I just want to add, and it's not to cut off Dagger and all that. I did see fails.
Oh, yeah?
Dagger did say one thing that was very true. It is a better win rate. It does fail. I watched on a number of occasions during one single streaming session against multiple teams, and it did go about 50%. There were some good wins, but what ends up happening is sometimes with Seven Sister is if Treya can't get that death mark removed fast enough, and Dagger called it, and I agree with it now, in watching the actual interaction. If she can't get it off fast enough, they kill your Treya, they kill your team. If Savage gets to steal the death mark, you're going to be fine. Everything's going to go through okay, everything's going to be all right. But if it doesn't go fast enough, and your Treya goes night-night, so does that team. There is no more. And you lose.
Well, yeah. Well, buyer beware. I mean, Riva is a really effective cudgel on offense. So, tough to regret that if you had to.
The Inquisitor split creates a pair of cudgels on offense.
That's also fair. You could also set like the GI team on defense and lead to the idea where if it's the only Inquisitor team shown up front, they're like, his Riva's in the back.
Yeah, and that brings me to the other part too of people are just consistent. Like at this point, go look at your history, figure it out, what your opponents are using against you, I guess. But basically, everyone I've fought these 2 weeks have used the exact same things against all my teams. I'm not gonna spoil what those counters are. I'm sure most people can figure them out by looking at their own history. But basically, all the teams you said have the same counter, or not the same, but have a prescribed counter that people are currently using. So go look at your defense and use that as a metric for where you set your teams. Because I learned that I was setting teams in the wrong spots because I didn't check my history. Because again, like I said, I didn't have time the first couple weeks, first couple rounds to do a lot. So looking at my history, I'm gonna. No, I won't. I won't go into more detail. I'm just going to be moving stuff around, and I think everybody should look into that because it looks like people are pretty consistent using the same things.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't. I'm not going to try and delve into that because even if I do stumble upon what you're planning, I don't want to out your plans. So that's fair. I mean, as far as mine went, I mean, you guys already know me singing my praises about it, but the Mother Talzin Marin zombie versus Finn Zori Poe, 56 banners for me. And then that was round 2. Round 3, I did the same fight, but actually ended up losing against Zori. And the only reason that happened is I had no Kron left. The other, the side characters went down like a sack of bricks. And then we were able to apply, lots and lots of plague. But when it would take her down to like maybe a third, 35, 40% health, something like that. And then because her Kron keeps her in stealth, or back in stealth very easily, she gets 100% health every time she comes out of stealth. It tops her off, dispels the plague, and then I had to keep it in this loop. So if I want to be able to rely on this, something maybe with stacking offense, at least on a 3, would probably be enough.
Take Spirit instead of Zombie.
Yeah, Spirit. Yeah, I mean, Spirit would definitely do the lockdown thing. But I will say that I actually made very effective use of those deaths, those revives from Zombie.
Oh, yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, like, saving yourself Dr. Zombie for another task is also pretty slick. And
Yeah.
if you pair that with Spirit putting down the speed down, plus the dispo, plus when she has foresight, she'll just one-shot Zori.
Yeah, but what happens, like I said, I made really effective use of those zombie reses, meaning that, like, a couple of my guys got blown out. And, yeah.
Can I add? So here's another thing I'll say from a strategic standpoint, right? At some point, maybe it's just better that if you need, like you're running out of teams on like where you're at task, there's nothing wrong with purposely 2-shotting Zori team instead of accidentally 7-shotting one. So I took it, I actually did this with Heinze,
Sure.
where I walked in with the intention of, you know what, it may clear, it may not, but we're getting to a lone Zori. And not having to figure this out is to me was one of the biggest things you showed everybody. Didn't have an Omicron, didn't have anything else, and I even went and did it because I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with your team. I'll take a purpose drop here, and that way it's an easier cleanup, and then move about my business. While other guys who were fighting me were, didn't drop, it didn't drop, and I was getting 5 and 6 holds. Perfect. So there is nothing wrong with taking a plan 2-shot on a team that can basically hold up from GLs.
So someone gave me an interesting idea versus Zori that I was given the idea too late. But Honda. There you go. I'm going to be at least trying that this week.
Okay.
So there's a free one for everybody.
All right.
I don't know if it'll work, but I'll be trying.
A gift for the people.
Quest to make him useful since there's some Theomi. Right?
Yep. Yeah, as far as anything else that like unexpectedly worked for me, CLS Chupio C3PO, of course, I killed a couple times with Gidme, but what was also fun is I did take out a Tuscan Chieftain team that way. So that was fun. Just lit him up. Hit him right between the eyes. Yeah, I'd say that's about it for me. So next segment here is, what are we taking away for next week? So, lessons learned. You don't really want to go into details about your plans, But as far as like lessons learned, and you can kind of leave it there in term. Well, no, I mean, just be general, about what you're taking away. You don't have to give away the whole farm. We can start. Yeah, we can start with Dagger there. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying I already kind of jumped the gun with some of my final thoughts.
You're all right. You're all right, man.
But yeah, if my opponent in their history shows the ability to consistently beat Rebo with Treya, like it doesn't feel good to have them spend Treya and Sebastian. And sure, I get it. It's two only characters beating your Rebo, but you are also giving up two teams that dumpster bleed. You're giving up 2 pointing fit teams on offense.
Yeah.
So I think that, and again, like I'm in like the 70s, right? So I'm not even like that high up. So I guess I feel okay giving away some of my strategy because the only person who could possibly watch this video who would care is Zarin.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think rearranging the air quotes traps based on what people are using, and then pulling Reba against people who show proficiency versus it, and then again like continuous track to finding a use for Omi Honda. That's better than beating up rats.
Fair enough. Yeah, Radis, man. I had a troublesome Radis match this week. Got through it eventually. But, all right, TJ, takeaways.
Everybody's a creature of habit, especially when it comes to threes. So if you can change something up that doesn't hurt you but can possibly throw your opponent off, I think is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Taz gave me a good piece of advice that, especially in this week, look at yourself when you're setting your defense to see if there's anything you can shift. Being a creature of habit and knowing that something wants to overkill because you don't want to get stuck and you may not clear, especially in threes, how that works out. And for the majority of people don't like threes, so that makes them more of wanting to be a creature of habit. Just understanding that, yeah, GLs do stuff, but it's not. The GLs aren't what are separating the pack. It's the B teams. These stronger B teams are throwing everybody the game off. The change-up of these teams, the Tuscans, the Seer team was a monster this week for everybody. In all forms and all content creators and everybody struggled on how this works out with this Seer team and if it has Omicron and who's on it and what it does and what you have to take against it to stop it. So it's these B teams that are really putting people in the dirt and that are really punishing you. So trying to utilize that to your advantage, or making sure that you have a counter. So if you know somebody's setting that, how to approach that so that you're not going to get caught out. Can be a huge thing for you where it's like, you know what, you can have a team that's going to be subpar, but I'm not going to get stuck on your team. And then you're just going to do the overall trying to get the points. I think that's my biggest takeaway right now.
Yeah. That's a good one. Kind of a loose tie-in with mine is, having I frequently toy with whether or not it's a good idea to split having at least one GL up top. And what I did find was, I played an opponent the last round of last week that was missing, missing a lot of GP and stuff. I had them fairly well outweighed, but they had me like 3 times over outcronned. So it was still a legitimate match, right? But, he had very little room for error if his counters didn't go because he set a decent defense. And by having Ray and Jabba not on the same wall, I caused a fork for him where he did end up wiping on Ray, not Jabba. And then I know at the beginning here, TJ, you said don't set Lord Vader on defense. And I may well not this week for the reasons you mentioned. But I will say that he had to two-shot it. And whatever it was, hopefully it was something not terribly inexpensive. I guess maybe the boba thing is fairly cheap. But, yeah, I think that having that split with the GL up top and a couple or one down bottom, however you're doing that, I think giving them the opportunity to wipe out, because that guy got like 119 banners on my whole defense. Like after he had those couple of wipes up top, he's like, you know what? Never mind. Just threw in the towel. So I liked how that worked. I may not always do it, but I thought it was a really cool option to point out. And then for me, my biggest takeaway is I make things too hard on myself. It's not that I set too many GLs.
Yeah.
I'll set like one or probably just one, maybe two, too many like good A team things. And even just one, and then when I'm doing some of these fights, I'll look up and see data that it's like, oh man, this thing I wasn't expecting or planning on doing could work, and I try it and I just wipe out, and that causes a cascade. You have to shift your attack plan every time you're having one of these drops. And threes is, as we've all harped on many times, threes is incredibly unforgiving to that kind of thing. So. I still went 2-1 last week, but what a sweat. I had like a 3 and a 4 hour stream. I'm not trying to do all that on a regular basis, man. It was killer. I think I'm still tired from that 4 hour stream. That was like 3 days ago. But yeah, all right. Well, that's it for me. Guys, that covers the main segments here. Do you have any other final closing thoughts? Yeah, back again to Dagger. We'll have TJ get the last word this time.
I just want to say, since I haven't taken any shots at Tasnix yet this week, I would like to point out that it took him 7 hours to go 0-2 and took me 30 seconds on auto. So I just want to say that I'm happy that we got the same results.
I went 2-1 last week.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about the amount of time you put in versus the amount of time I put in, and roughly similar results.
Oh, well, yes.
Right? Like,
that's fair.
Yeah. So just know my 30 seconds was about as equal as his 7 hours. Yeah. That being said, just to agree with TJ and Tass on two of the points they made earlier, Lord Vader on defense is not super threatening. It is usually minus 20 banners, but it's a pretty cheap 2-shot. So if you're just using it to steal 20 banners, sure. And then to echo Tass's point, one of the things he mentioned was one of the places I was going where the fork has changed, right? So in last 5 season, like if you would put a Geo up top frequently, just because you'd put Jabba in front, so it's like use your after here, asshole, right? Oh shit. I guess that's our PG rating, right?
You're okay, dude.
But right, it's like use your after here. And that's still in my head, right? So you got to move stuff around, because what Tass said is right. You still want to create some kind of, if they drop, you want to create some form of fork or some form of tough decision making. And I think, and again, to echo what both of them said again, look at your own history. Look at your history, look at your defense. And one piece of advice that I kind of go by myself, can I one-shot my entire board with the pieces I have and still have 1 to 2 good teams left over? That's kind of one of my metrics, right? It's like, if I can one-shot my own board, how much will I have left over? And you want to try and balance that to having like 1, maybe 2 extra teams. Because like what Tass said, sometimes like, oh, I only set 2 GLs, I'll be fine. And then but you set everything else that was good.
Yeah.
And sometimes you set 5 GLs in trash or 4 GLs in trash, and they one-shot your GLs and everything else is a 57.
Yeah.
So yeah, just find a balance that works for you, like TJ said as well. Change something. Your goal for this week should be to change something. Don't be too predictable.
All right. Fair thoughts. Thank you. TJ, let's have it.
All right, so we're
Final
going to do
thoughts.
Price is Right. Yes, absolutely. So like the Price is Right. Just make sure you go out and spay and neuter your local content creator. We don't want the producing more content creators. That's a big thing, right?
He's right.
Yeah, don't make them happen. But I do want to point out, and I don't think people get this enough. Every piece of information I've given you or shown you or said something about is something that I've taken away from Tassinix or Fatal or Infinem or all these other content creators. So in all reality, while I joke about it, I'm glad he's doing a 7-hour stream. It may be a loss, but I'm learning something from his testing that he's doing. It's the same thing. The stuff with the boba thing. I didn't come up with this idea. I didn't get to originate it. I'm not going to coin it as that's a TJ original. I watched Fatal do it, and I was like, man, that is awesome to do. I'm going to try that, and it worked. And so all these things just like go. That's how I learn and I study. I watch the people. I watch us playing. I'll see a Dagger. I'll see a Tass, Brock. All these other guys are playing, and I'm learning what to do to try to help everybody else out so that, hey, I can come on this video and say, hey, try this. Hey, this worked. This didn't. So just doing your homework. There's nothing wrong with trying new things. And if it's maybe a loss, but you know what? I guarantee you learn from it and something gets better for the next time. That to me is the biggest piece to come across. And then in the third week, it's our punch-up week, right? We should take all the stuff we learned from week 1 and week 2 and be able to really hammer it home on week 3. So that's what I expect to be seeing this one. So that would be my final thoughts.
All right. Yeah, and for me, I mean, I pretty much gave my thoughts in the takeaway there, but yeah, I'm just gonna try not to overwork myself here, and I'm gonna keep up with some type of fork strategy. I also have a whole bunch of new marquee toys this week. You can see I got the Tuscans; they're on my project list here, but. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of new stuff going on. We'll get to have some fun, and we all encourage you here to do the same. So, thanks for watching. We're just over a half hour. Good job, guys. We did a good job. 31 minutes, 40 something seconds. So we're gonna finish out pretty good. So thank you both.
Then we can talk really quick about how we're gonna have on our off week TB, Conquest, and this new raid 2 to 3 times.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, Dagger.
At least they came.
Out of my room. No, they don't get to be here. Go home now, guys. There's nothing to see here. Carry on.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again to Dagger and TJ for setting the time and schedule. It's challenging. We all have families. We all have jobs. It's challenging to always be able to find the time. I'm also frequently exhausted these days. So I really appreciate you guys all being here, and we'll see you all next week for the wrap up on week 3, and then we'll have the off week. So until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.